All right, so I guess Thomas Brown's not going to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Welcome in Monday morning edition of Hoge Jahns. Johnsy still somewhere in the general Santa Clara, San Francisco region.
I am technically in Burlingame, California.
Right by the airport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great Marriott right there, right across the bay, a little bay. Call it a bay, right across some water from the airport.
Yeah, I know exactly where you are. I think I've stayed at that hotel. Good spot, and tsunami free. It seems good. The Bears, however, were hit by a tsunami. Called the.
That's good. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, if he's not going to say it, I'm going to say it.
I don't know if the tsunami was the 49ers or just reality or both.
I would call it the Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan.
They got Shanahan hard.
Definitely not be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I think we've established that at this point. Look, a lot to get into here, and we'll also get to your voicemails, which I'm sure are fire as well. I said this yesterday and got a little bit of a backlash for it. I think Bears fans are to the point they're just completely fed up. I get it. We're gonna take the brunt of that. That's fine. There's a couple of things I do want to clear up on this podcast, but I still this morning am genuinely shocked that they just completely no-showed. And I think a lot of people are like accusing us of like force-feeding Thomas Brown down Bears fans' throats, and like I want you guys to all know that was not based off a press conference. It was based off what the players were saying, both on and off the record. It really seemed like they were genuinely relieved to see Matt Eberflus go and have Thomas Brown get this opportunity. So I am not shocked they lost. I am shocked that they came out completely flat and were thoroughly dominated from start to finish. And to me, did not play with the violence that Thomas Brown was preaching. There were a couple moments where there were way more business decisions that were made than there were violent hits of any kind, offense or defense. So that is what I was surprised about.
I have a business decision on my dislikes here that I want to get to later. I just watched the film of it again, and I want to talk about it. But let's hold that one for later. If anything, I think, at least myself, I should have looked more at just how damn hard it is to become a head coach in this league and just everything that Thomas Brown has gone through over the past month. My question to him last night was, Thomas, you've gone from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator to interim head coach in a matter of 18 days. You just had your first game as head coach. At any point, does this feel like a lot? Because it is a lot. Mm-hmm. I put this in my column this morning is that, this was my take on the game. They're asking him to be a miracle worker, and I guess we're all guilty of being maybe a bit too excited about what he could bring because good things were happening on the offense with Caleb Williams. But now he's in charge of the entire team, but they're asking him to be a miracle worker for a mess that he didn't make. To me, yesterday's loss to the San Francisco 49ers is on Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. Probably more so Ryan Poles because he's been with the Bears longer. But that was his team he built out there. The coach he retained was fired. The offensive coordinator that he helped hire was fired. It's time to start looking at Ryan Poles' place in this mess that the Chicago Bears are right now.
Well, yeah, because to me, I went through it again this morning. Like, I didn't really see anything that Thomas Brown necessarily did wrong in this game. We've had plenty of coaching losses. This one was on the players. I don't know how else to put it. Whether we're talking drops, whether we're talking business decisions, whether we're talking somehow not at playing defense on George Kittle. Now that is somewhere I do think I do want to get into the coaching on defensive side a little bit because there was something I did bring up on Friday that I was worried about that I probably should have been even more worried about. We'll get into that. But I think more so than anything else, like, dude, you had Jalen Johnson goes off in the locker room. Keenan Allen comes out and says, we did enough as players to win. So you said all those things in Detroit. The head coach got fired. And then you followed it up with an absolute dud the following week. And by the way, like, I get this is San Francisco. It's the 49ers. This was a game that, way back in May when the schedule came out, we pretty much had pegged for a loss. This team was reeling. Like, they've been outscored. Their point differential the last couple of weeks was like 50, negative 50. Like, they have not been playing good football. You could have read any column in San Francisco, and I read a bunch this week. Whether it was in The Athletic, Mike Silver had a piece too. He's now with The Athletic. I read that this week. Like, the amount of stuff that they've gone through, pretty much every writer covering the 49ers was like, yeah, they're technically still in the playoff hunt, but it would be shocking to see them turn this around. Well, I guess all they needed was to play the Chicago Bears, because you can't say all that stuff in the locker room to me a week ago and then come out and play like that once you got the guy, you wanted in there in Thomas Brown. That's what was so shocking to me.
So who built that roster?
Well, that's what I'm with you. So if you want to go,
okay, so we're on the same page. Okay, all right. Yes. A lot of business decisions out there. What's the Mike Tyson line? Everybody's got a plan to get punched in the face. That's what it felt like was
that's
happening.
What that felt like, yeah.
It's like continuously happening in the first half, especially on defense. You can't say they were tired, but they were on their heels like every single play, like 5 plays. 49ers score with these. Short drives, explosive plays, down the field, no pressure on Brock Purdy. Same old story. Same old players out in the field. Players with big contracts, not making plays. Players drafted by Ryan Poles, not making plays, getting hurt, leaving injured. It looks like a bad team. Maybe this had to happen in a sense, because maybe those 3 games against the NFC North, the Packers, Vikings, and Lions, were a bit misleading. They lost those games by 7 points. They lost this one by what? Let's do my math. 25 points.
Good job.
Not good, Adam. Not good. Math is good, though.
Yeah. Before we get to the voicemails and then our likes and dislikes after that, I want to ask you kind of more of a big picture question. I think since you were bringing up Ryan Poles, I think this is a perfect time to bring up this question. And I saw Biggsy put this in his 10 thoughts this morning too. It doesn't seem like anyone knows for sure if Ryan Poles had the same contract length as Matt Eberflus, but it would be reasonable to suggest that they.
Oh, I could tell you with absolute certainty. I don't know if I'm breaking news here.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Poles got a 4-year deal. Matt Eberflus got a 5-year deal. Yes.
Oh.
So I guess
that's
if
different.
I'm breaking news here. Yes. Yeah. Ryan Poles has a 4-year contract. Matt Eberflus got a 5-year contract.
Okay. Well, I was on.
So unless something has changed since I was last told that, that's news to me.
Okay. So, that kind of changes. Well, it doesn't change the question. It actually makes it more urgent, because the question then becomes, do you need to give Ryan Poles a contract extension here? Which is what the Bears did with Ryan Pace when Pace fired John Fox. And the whole reason and they announced, I don't, you guys remember this, like they announced Ryan Pace's extension as they were basically starting their coaching search. The season ended. They said, hey, we fired John Fox. By the way, Ryan Pace got a contract extension. And the whole point was to make the job more attractive to prospective head coaches that don't want to take a job with the GM in limbo. But this seems to be a little bit of a different situation, because if Ryan Poles' power has been diminished here, and it's really Kevin Warren making the hire, then that might not matter. Like if you're getting hired for this job, as long as you're aligned with the president, you might be good. I don't know. This is a messy situation, and it's kind of remarkable to me that the Bears are in it. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's like, man, how many times are they going to repeat their mistakes here? I guess my question to you is, so you just brought brought it up very fairly. Like, the attention here kind of needs to turn to Ryan Poles, and he's built this roster. To me, it would be kind of hard to defend giving him a contract extension right now. But do you need to look at the politics of it and still do it? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt your salary cap at all. It's just the McCaskey's money.
Well, I guess I see this a couple different ways. If you keep getting losses, like the one we just covered in Santa Clara, California, that is an extremely difficult decision for Kevin Warren if he's making that decision. Because that tells you that this team is more of a mess than you thought it was 5-6 weeks ago when you sat with him in the media room discussing the future of the team and telling everyone how much you believed in him. Because I think you should question what the roster really holds, how many holes there are. Can Caleb Williams really take it to the next level with better players? Like what's going on with players that Ryan Poles, has drafted? What's going on with this big money free agent signings? Why aren't they making enough plays? That should be all on the table if Kevin Warren sees more games like we just saw. At the same time, if you're going to make that decision, allow Ryan Poles to be that point person. I'm still struggling over that language there. Be that point person.
He's playing point guard, man.
To be the point person on a head coach search, then yes, you should, put your money where your mouth is in a sense, right? Like the back him up, sign him to an extension, and link him up with the next head coach. It's what the Bears did with Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. It's like the right thing to do if you're going to be a serious organization. But at the same time, I think there's still 4 more games to get through for Kevin Warren to make that decision if he hasn't made it already.
Look, even the reporting this morning has Bill Belichick still linked to North Carolina and apparently seriously talking to them. I've still have my doubts about the idea of Bill Belichick becoming the Bears head coach. What I do have to say is, unless a contract extension has already been executed with Ryan Poles, which with the Bears, who knows, right? Like, it's possible. I guess I'll go back to the word politics on this. The way in which, I guess what I'm trying to say is there seems to be an open door to the power structure changing. Whereas like back in January, and this turned out to be true, like it just seemed entirely unlikely that the Bears would entertain Jim Harbaugh because everybody felt so good about the structure that was in place. Well, now it's possible that there's been enough change already, and the contracts are such that if Bill Belichick, you asked a question to me, like a hypothetical to me a few weeks ago, like, well, what if Bill Belichick demands like his own GM or whatever just to interview? Like, I guess my point is you would think that they'd be a little bit more open-minded if the GM only has 1 year left on his contract.
I would hope at the very least that Kevin Warren has found a way to have an informal conversation with Bill Belichick by this point.
But between last Monday and this Monday?
Yes. I don't care if it ever becomes public or if he doesn't reveal it happened until the NFL owners meetings in Florida in March. But it needs to happen. It's his job to make that happen. Like his job to gather information. I know Ryan Poles is the point person on this. So maybe Ryan Poles should have that casual conversation if he really is the point person on this. And then if Bill Belichick says he wants to have more power, needs to relay that to Kevin Warren, who then has to have the conversation with Bill Belichick. These are the behind-the-scenes things that happen in the league all the time. But I'd expect some type of informal conversations to at least have happened by now if they haven't happened already. And if they don't happen, well, then Adam, God damn it, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
With the coaching search.
I would just be, and again, maybe something's already happened with the GM contract, but I don't necessarily think you have to give an extension just for the sake of giving an extension in this situation. But those are some questions that are going to have to get answered here. Unfortunately, that press conference last Monday left more questions than answers, it seems. And what I wonder if that applies to candidates that want the job too. I don't want to read too much into other people's reporting, but if you happen to watch like the things that Albert Breer was saying Thursday did you see any of that? His reporting from the Lions-Packers game?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, it was kind of similar to what Colton was saying.
Yeah. What about Ben Johnson?
About Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
You ever forgetting it?
Yeah, it did, but it was like specifically in results of like, are you willing to own up to your mistakes? and I was like, boy, if that's not right about the Chicago, if that's not like directly sent to the Chicago Bears, it sure applies to the Chicago Bears.
Well, Ben, how much time do you have?
Yeah.
And if he's talking to George McCaskey, like, Ben, where do you want me to begin? Let me take you back to 2012 when we went 10-6, and I was convinced that we needed an offensive head coach for our quarterback, and then we fired Lovie Smith. How much time do you have, Ben?
Yeah, they should just play to if that's a real part of the interview that needs to be done, they should just play that viral video of Kevin Fishbank going through the last like 13 years. That should just be like, you know what? Thank you for being here, Ben. We understand that there's some things that we have to address here. So here's a video that we're just playing for every candidate that's come into the building.
Yes, or Ben Johnson should be prepared for his interview where he's like, hey, I saw this on TikTok.
Yeah.
Then after explaining to the Bears what TikTok is, like, oh
yeah, what's TikTok?
Like, who is this Kevin Fishbane? I hear they call him the Fish Man. Take me through what the heck he's talking about here.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's get to your voicemails, and then we'll get to apparently some likes. I don't know if we'll be stretching for those out of this game.
I got one. I do have one.
Okay, good. All right. Well, before we get to that, here are your voicemails from yesterday's no-show in Northern California.
Hello?
Do you know who this is?
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The Hoge Jahns voicemail. The Hoge Jahns voicemail line.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
Got any questions or comments about the Bears? Give the guys a call before, after, or even during the game.
Go Bears!
Hoge Jahns and Ben Paprosky calling in here, and we are back, baby. We're back. We're back with a purpose. We're here now. We're going to watch the Bears football against the Niners. Yeah, I got life again. I can't wait. Let's go. Let's tear it up. 1,000 million, 100 gazillion to 0. Bears are back, baby. Let's go. Thomas Brown era begins. Who knows if it just lasts 5 weeks, but we got life again, boys. Let's go, Bears. Let's go, Bears. This is, I feel so good. Finally, thank you, Jesus. Let's go, Bears.
So it turns out firing your defensive and play calling head coach might not be the best thing for your defense.
Luce, I was just joking, bro. Come on back, man. Please come back.
First quarter isn't even done yet, fellas, and I'm so tired of these vets doing all this talking and not backing up. I mean, DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson. You guys supposed to be dogs. Supposed to be number one corner, number one wide receiver. Right now, you're not showing it.
Hey guys, it just occurred to me, this seems like just a bunch of losers. There's just losers across the roster.
Well, it took about 1 quarter to stop is Thomas Brown the next Bears head coach?
Hi guys, it turns out Matt Eberflus was actually the best coach we've ever had to be able to get us even competitive in these games.
This is
absolutely, horrifically, unbelievably, horribly disgusting.
My wife gave birth to a beautiful baby boy shortly after the bye week. Since then, he has seen 3 offensive coordinators, 2 play callers, 2 head coaches, and 0 Bears wins. Go Bears.
So it seems like the clock management issue wasn't just Eberflus.
Hey, Bear fans. B-Man is here. It's halftime. My blood pressure's up. My cholesterol's up. My PSA is up. Little B is down. Pooh Bears.
Hoge Jahns, it's halftime. Mark Carman was totally wrong. Corey Taylor is the best pick the Bears have ever made.
When will it stop? When will it finally stop?
Okay, at what time did the "we never should have fired Eberflus" crowd come out? Just wondering.
Hey there, this is Papa Hoge. It's halftime, and this is about as far away as a new coach bump that you can get.
24-8. It's Caleb time.
Hey, Hoge Jahns, long-time listener, first-time caller. I just can't do this anymore.
Hey, we're losing 31-12, but at least Johns was right. Pretty good day for Rome. 2 touchdowns. I'll take that. But boy, is this a bad game.
I want to be mad, and I want to yell and scream, but I can't care more than the McCaskies do. So I guess I'm just tuning in to watch a train wreck every week.
Just watched the Bears give up a third rushing touchdown to backup running back number 4 or 5. I've lost count at this point.
You know, all I can hear in my head is Johns saying, "We should know better. We should know better. We should know better."
Hoge Jahns, it's bad Bob Dabrowski. The Bears lost a brutal one there. Just close game, but couldn't get the job done there. Niners got away with some penalties. Good news, bad news. The good news is Flus is gone. Bad news is the Bears still suck. Oh well, can't win them all, I guess. Let's go Bears.
Hey, Bears fans, B-Man here. Can the Bears please give me a reason to be positive when I call? This sucks. Bear down!
I thought B-Man was about to swear there.
Yeah, well, he's getting close. I mean, we're watching him grow up in front of our own voicemail ears. Yes. And it's only a matter of time before he turns into Bob. I mean, what, another 5 years?
Another 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, B-Man with leaving messages as he goes through puberty.
It's
voice changing, voice cracking.
Yeah. Well, then we got fake B-Man, the old elderly B-Man in there too. So it's been fun. Thank you guys for keeping it fun. Bob. Hey, I lost a close one there. A couple penalties went the wrong way. Okay. Likes and dislikes.
I don't like that Thomas Brown is going to be the one speaking for the Bears about everything over the next 4 weeks. Like hearing him talk last night after that loss, I'm just thinking to myself, like, this guy literally was just a passing game coordinator less than a month ago. And he's the one who has to present the confident face. He's the one who's got to prevent or discuss everything that goes wrong with the Bears. Like, he wasn't here. I put this in my column. Like, he wasn't here for so many things that transpired before his arrival here. And it just struck me as such an unfair situation for him. Yes, maybe I'm guilty of talking him up too much for this week. I was listening to the players. I was buying into what they were saying about the energy, the vibe, the directness. The assistant coaches were saying it too. But what happened in San Francisco is more about Ryan Poles again than him. So I don't like that it's Thomas Brown, who hasn't even he has worked for the Bears he's only been employed by the Bears like what, 11 months? 11 months.
Yeah.
And he's got to answer for everything.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that one because I understand where you're coming from on it. I still think he's the most competent to do that.
Okay. Then fair enough, because you're right. You're right.
Like even if it's just, look, we got to get through these last four. Could you imagine if Flus was still going up there?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, so I totally understand where you're coming from. It's probably not even fair to Thomas Brown, but you know what? He's getting an opportunity here. He can handle it. And honestly, he's everybody needed a new voice, I think.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking team meetings, press conferences, whatever. And it maybe these results aren't going to go well because the schedule's not getting any easier here, without a doubt. But if we all have to sit here through the rest of December into January for 4 more games, and I'm not sure who else I'd rather have up there giving press conferences, because it was still remarkable to me. Like, regardless of what happened yesterday in San Francisco, you had Kevin Warren up there trying to sell you the world next to somber Ryan Poles, 2 complete messages that just seemed like it totally missed the mark. And then Thomas Brown got up there and was like, all right, let's get right down to, like it was, and it gave you, even if it was apparently false hope, it gave you some level of confidence that somebody got up there and could talk like, I don't know, the way a football coach should.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't think Matty Eberflus is standing up there telling us multiple times how the Bears got their butts kicked. Thomas Brown said that, I want to say 3 or 4 times. And I appreciate that he's willing to say that, as opposed to statements about execution or lack thereof. We got to be better. We're going back to the drawing board. We got to stick together. That message, those messages are beyond stale. So to hear Thomas Brown just flat out say we got our butts kicked, this is a grown man's business, I like that. So, but I still feel like he's answering for things that he shouldn't repeatedly. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right. My first dislike is actually at myself, because while the Thomas Brown side of this did surprise me and how the players came out and really just laid an egg on that part of it, there was a concern I did bring up repeatedly last week that I didn't put enough stock in my own concern. And that was, for whatever you want to say about Matt Eberflus, the head coach, I think we actually learned yesterday he's still a pretty good defensive coordinator. And certainly the defense has been slipping the last few weeks and all that. But the idea of Eric Washington, who hadn't called plays in a regular season game since 2018, a season in which he lost, had those duties taken away from him, going up against Kyle freaking Shanahan. I'm calling myself out on this. For me to put that in my prediction and to still pick the Bears to win is just a horrible job by me. Because it was, I'm cognizant of the issue here, and I'm still going the other way, mainly because of the new coach bump. But that was such a mismatch. And to see Brock Purdy just like all over the field, like bombs away, wide open George Kittle, oh my God, and poor Eric Washington, man, he tried. He's like, I'm trying to bring pressure here. We need to bring more pressure, and we're going to just vacate the middle of the field. Here come the blitzes, and there goes George Kittle wide open. Like, Kyle Shanahan was so ready for that, and that was just, good day for Matt Eberflus if he's trying to get another DC job. I mean, because he could just send that tape to any team looking for a DC, because, maybe he'll get another opportunity.
Yeah, my thought on this was, I don't like that it appeared that the Bears missed Matt Eberflus like significantly in terms of the defensive play calling. It was a mismatch to begin with. I put this in my prediction for the game, like we should know better, like we should have known better. But at the same time, like the 49ers did this with their 3rd string running back, without Trent Williams, without Brandon Ayuk. like you said earlier, they were struggling immensely coming into this game. Michael Silver's writing columns of how bad this season is for the 49ers. You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell playing the Bears.
Not yesterday. That was their get-right game for sure. All right, what else you got?
I don't like watch the second touchdown scored by Garendo. Am I saying his name right? Garendo, rookie running
Isaac
back.
Garendo. I think you're going to bring up what I brought up on CHGO yesterday, if we're thinking about the same play.
So just speaking of business decisions, watch Jalen Johnson on that play. I saw it live. I literally hit Kevin Fishbane next to me. I'm like, did you just see that? Jalen Johnson doesn't even attempt a tackle. It's not the open field, but it's basically a one-on-one tackle, like at the goal line, maybe 1.5 yard line. Like a stop could be made before the goal line. And he doesn't even try. To me, that's a problem for Thomas Brown going into film review today or tomorrow. The schedule's a bit different because of the Monday Night Football game. But that's got to be brought up in some capacity. That's got to be shown in some capacity to the entire, defense, I'm sure. But maybe the entire team, because that is unacceptable on so many levels for a professional football player.
I'm glad you saw that too, because I was in the same exact spot. I was sitting next to Corey Wooten in our studios, and we both, the second it happened, were like, oh my God. Like, look, in my opinion, Garendo probably scores anyway. Who cares? It's at the goal line. You have to make a play. It's the goal line. And even if he's going to score, get a shot on somebody. Like, let him know it wasn't easy to get in there. Pay the price to get in the end zone. And then you add the added context of this was the guy that went off in the locker room last week. And I completely understand. I've sat here on this show and CHGO now and said, hey, man, if the loaf's message got lost because the head coach wouldn't loaf himself, I get that. I totally get that. That's 100% a thing. I don't know how, as a player myself, if I'm going to sit there and my head coach is going to say 13 yards didn't matter before a Hail Mary and then come in the meeting room on Monday and give me a loaf, I totally get the hypocrisy of that. But you just got your change. And Thomas Brown's now your head coach. And he came in talking about violence in the first team meeting and all week long. And to put that on tape, I thought was very telling.
When one of your captains, when one of your best players has that on film, and I had to watch it a few more times this morning just to make sure, like, I remembered it correctly. I saw it again last night. Mark Potash and I were having dinner. We both, looked at it in that capacity. Then I saw it again a couple more times this morning. When your team captain, when one of your best players has a play like that on film, that says so much about what's happening in that locker room. He should know that's unacceptable. He should know better. He should know what that means to younger players that he's trying to be a leader for. He should expect more of himself. I imagine these hard conversations are going to happen this week between him and Eric Washington and Thomas Brown. I wonder what type of response the Bears get from that in their next game against the Minnesota Vikings, because they'll play with violence. Sam Darnold the other day, to do what you were doing, 5 touchdown passes. 5 yesterday. So in terms of business decisions, like, that was number one for me.
And there were a couple other examples, and they all, to me, mostly ended up in the secondary. Jonathan Owens had a very weak tackle attempt in the second quarter. The 4th and 1, where after Shanahan originally put Moody out there to kick a field goal, then he called timeout and put the offense back out there. I thought, and Wooten backed me up on this, I thought everybody up front did their job. And all that required was cornerback Tyreek Stevenson to be the one that flies in there and hit the guy in the backfield. And it's probably a tackle for loss. And he came in there flat-footed and went backwards. And that, to me, looked like another business decision. And that's a guy who's not on his second contract, somebody who's certainly had a notable season for many reasons, probably most of those reasons not great. So, all right, man. It's just it was adding up. I didn't like that. Let me give you one like. There's not many, but if you're looking for hope for the future, the Caleb Williams touchdown pass to Roma Dunze in the back corner.
Even the one in the middle, if I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, but sure. Well, let's not forget in the preseason, this guy lost track of where the end line was. You blame the paint, blame whatever you want. Like, you're a wide receiver. You should know where the end line was. Well, perfectly thrown ball. Roma Dunze goes up and gets it. Contested catch guy that we've talked about, going back to the draft. It was good to see that. And then he does a phenomenal job controlling his body, getting both feet down easily. It was really a heck of a catch. Great throw, great catch, glimpse of the future. I didn't like him celebrating on the second one, though. I got to say, like, dude, it was like 31-12 at that point, extra point pending.
Yep, 31. Well, made it 31-13, 11:48 in the fourth quarter.
Right. Well, after the extra point, it did. Yeah. So, I'm not sweating that too much, but that's one where you hand the ball to the official, in my opinion. And Cole Kmet had a moment like that earlier this season where he scored a touchdown and they weren't winning, and he didn't do his home run celebration. And I asked him why, and he's like, "Well, look at the scoreboard, not the time or place."
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm with you. My only positive, my only like, was the Caleb Williams Roma Dunze connection. It's good to see two young players making plays like that, especially getting in the end zone. I don't like that drops continue to be an issue for the Bears widespread. I don't like that missed blocking assignments seem to be an issue for the Bears. I don't like that third down sacks are a serious trend that needs fixing for the Chicago Bears. I don't like another slow start. A lot of dislikes. I haven't watched a lot of the All-22 yet. I'm still in California here, but I'm pretty sure I didn't like the game that Tremaine Edmonds had against the 49ers too. Considering the contract he got, considering his captaincy, I think we're all waiting for a few more plays, and especially if I'm thinking just in terms of what happened with George Kittle, I'm thinking that I'm not going to like the performance that Tremaine Edmonds had when I see it on film. Other than that, and there are a lot of dislikes. I mean, you could not like the entire performance from the Chicago Bears against the 49ers.
I'll give you one more from the 49er side. I honestly don't know if this counts as a like or dislike. I guess it's a dislike, even though it's the other team's head coach. What was Kyle Shanahan doing challenging a spot that had already been replayed? That was unbelievable. I mean, take replay assist out of it. Most of the time, challenging a spot's not going to go your way. It's got to be obvious. That one was not obvious. I actually thought in the moment when it looked pretty clear to me on TV that, I forget, was it Jennings who caught the ball? He was short of the line to gain. And then they marked it. You saw both officials came in. It looked like they were going to give him the first down. And then very quickly they go, after replay assist, the ball's moved back a yard. It's 3rd and 1. And then Kyle Shanahan throws a challenge flag. And you could see Ron Torbert was like, I mean, I was reading lips a little bit but it seemed to be like, you sure you want to challenge this? Because we already did the replay thing. You sure? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, Ron Torbert was literally like, okay. Then he announced it. I'm like, what was that? That was crazy.
I don't know if you can see it. I don't know what they replayed in terms of the broadcast, but when he challenged that catch by Keenan Allen, he threw that from his sideline and it hit like the numbers. Did they show that?
Yeah, well, we could see the flag fly into the screen because it landed like basically right by the quarterback. Yeah.
That was impressive. See, like in my notes, I like that Kyle Shanahan took like the trade rumors almost like personal.
Yeah.
That team, that 49ers team, played for the blowout. They wanted to blow out the Chicago Bears. You could tell that as they're as aggressive as they were, like in the second half, in the fourth quarter, especially, like leave no doubt. You're remembering, like, remember the Titans? That's what I'm thinking of. Like where their coach is screaming, the defensive coordinator is like, leave no doubt. Like that's what I'm seeing from Kyle Shanahan's team. And yes, he addressed the trade rumors after the fact. Didn't have to. Like, why would he want to coach the Bears when he could do what he did with all the backups on the 49ers to the Bears?
That's a good point. By the way, the Bears clinched. They clinched Johns. Another last place finish in the NFC North. So they get the easier schedule next year.
You know what that means? I think we might see the 49ers again next year if the standings hold true.
Because they're going to be in last?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Rams won. Seahawks have a winning record. Who am I missing in that division?
Well, the Cardinals. The Cardinals are kind of free falling all of a sudden. They've lost 3 in a row. So it'll probably be the
Cardinals. Arizona too.
Yeah.
Bears fans travel well there.
And that'll be a road game regardless?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go back to Arizona. I like that idea. Play some more golf. All right, let's get to super chats before we get out of here. Kent, we can throw those up on the screen. Flawed Bears fan 199. So training camp was a waste of time. Bleep man.
Yes. We're here again. We are here again.
Carlos Peterson 499. Ryan Poles is going to turn into Ryan Grigson if we don't fire him. Wow. Ryan Grigson was the Colts GM, I believe right before Ballard. I don't think there was one in between them. Ballard's been there for a while now. Yeah, and they had all kinds of offensive line trouble. Remember, like Andrew Luck just taking a beating. I get the comp. Josh Dots 499. Rebuilds take time. Some believe in building from the trenches out. Poles is just building from the outside in.
Yes, rebuilds take time, but this is year 3. And Ryan Poles is on the record himself saying this was phase 2, which to me means victories. It means a lot better than what we saw against the 49ers. So I disagree with using the rebuild descriptions now. It's too late. Those are the first 2 years.
Yeah. Drewski 23 499. Does George care about the perception of his team? I honestly don't think he does.
Yes, he does. This is what I would say. When the public perception gets this bad, when the criticism gets this bad of, well, look at Matt Eberflus. George is very aware from that, and he usually acts upon that. Now I'm curious where this leads with Ryan Poles, because I think this game, the conversation has completely shifted towards Ryan Poles. Like, George is aware of this. He is, I would say, almost sensitive to it. Changes happen when the public perception gets this bad. How much change happens is now up to Kevin Warren and George McCaskey himself. Like, how much does he want to change going forward? And the only one I think in question right now is Ryan Poles.
Yeah, I still don't think. I mean,
I don't think they're going to do it. I think he's going to be retained.
Warren did say he was safe. Well, what I do think, and unless there, like I said earlier in the show, unless there's already been an extension given to him that we don't know about, I do think he is in somewhat of a precarious situation where, depending on who the candidate is and depending on what they need to do to get the candidate they really want, there's a world in which Poles is either power could be diminished more, or if push really came to shove, is that what would they be open then to a change? Because I don't think, given where the situation is, you should be crossing off any candidates just because the GM is still here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's where I think it has changed a little bit. All right. I believe that's it for supers. So we're done here. Just like the Bear season. Yeah, you got to get to the airport. At least you're close. We will reconvene on. Well, we'll still probably stick to Wednesday,
we'll
Friday.
be back. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll do Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, Wednesday, Friday, even though the Bears don't play on Monday. By the way, Monday, if people haven't figured this out already, they are not the only game on TV. There's this is one of those Monday night. It's not even really a doubleheader because they've now made it just like 2 simultaneous games. So the Bears and Vikings kick off at 7 next Monday night, but 30 minutes later, the Falcons play the Raiders. So good schedule in there. 3 out of the 4 teams are not great. You know who is good? The Vikings. Yeah.
Sam Darnold. Quite the season he's had.
It's incredible. The Bears woke up Jordan Addison, too. They fixed Jordan Addison. They fixed Kyle Shanahan. They fixed the 49ers. They're fixing everybody. Addison had 3 touchdowns yesterday. All right, we're out of here. We will talk to you on Wednesday.
See ya.